Almighty God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, we give thanks to you, the creator of the universe, the cosmic and divine energy that resides in all human beings, and humbly beseech you to direct and prosper the deliberations of the members of this House here assembled for the advancement of your glory and the trust and welfare of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Grant that peace and happiness, truth and justice may be established among us for all generations.
Oath or affirmation, announcements by the Speaker, bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers.
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to lead the following papers standing in my name. The audited financial statements of the National Investment Fund Holding Company Limited for the financial year ended December 31st, 2024. 2. The consolidated audited financial statements of Caribbean Airlines Limited for the financial year ended December 31st, 2016. 3. The audited financial statements of the National Maintenance Training and Security Company Limited for the financial year ended December 31st, 2024. 4. The draft estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2026. 5. The draft estimates, details of estimates for recurrent expenditure for the financial year 2026. 6. The draft estimates of revenue and expenditure of the statutory boards and similar bodies and of the Tobago House of Assembly for the financial year 2026. 7. The draft estimates of the development program for the financial year 2026. 8. The draft estimates of revenue for the financial year 2026. 9. The Social Sector Investment Program 2026. 10. The Public Sector Investment Program Trinidad 2026. 11. The Public Sector Investment Program Tobago 2026. 12. The State Enterprises Investment Program 2026. And 13. The Review of the Economy 2025. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that papers 1 to 3 be referred to the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee.
Honourable members, the question is that papers 1 to 3 be referred to the Public Accounts Enterprises Committee. All in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it.
Introduction of bills. The Appropriation Financial Year 2026, Bill 2025, in the name of the Minister of Finance.
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that a bill entitled An Act to Provide for the Service of Trinidad and Tobago for the financial year ending on the 30th day of September 2026 be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, I am honored to deliver the UNC's inaugural budget. On April 28, 2025, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, by their collective action, gave this UNC government a resounding mandate to restore good governance, rebuild our economy, and improve the lives of every citizen across our beloved nation. They asked for sincerity and compassion in government. They asked for a credible plan to move Trinidad and Tobago forward. They asked for jobs, growth, prosperity, and social peace. It is therefore a profound privilege to present the 2026 budget to this Honourable House. I extend my heartfelt thanks to the Honourable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, our esteemed Prime Minister, for the opportunity to serve and guide the fiscal affairs of Trinidad and Tobago. Sincere thanks to the dedicated staff of the Ministry of Finance, my cabinet colleagues, the ministries and state agencies, and our partners in the private sector and civil society. Most importantly, thanks to the people of Trinidad and Tobago who participated in our budget consultations. Your voices have been heard. This budget is a product of national effort, and it belongs to all of us. Finally, thanks also to my constituents of Faizabad who voted to give me my seat here in the Parliament. The entire country knows that the PNM left our country in financial difficulties and economic ruin. But none of us could have guessed how far this country had fallen. Our assessment of the national fiscal position has revealed the severe magnitude of our economic distress and the resultant challenges that lie ahead. Deep structural imbalances that trap us in a low-growth cycle. A broken and demoralized tax administration that prevents us from maximizing our revenue potential. Persistent deficits, rising debts, an empty treasury, infrastructure in decay, escalating crime, and a population feeling very despondent. These are the legacies of the PNM decade of destruction. For 10 years, the Rowley administration presided over the collapse of law and order, allowing criminals to roam free and shattering public confidence in the judicial system. Our children suffered as the Couva Children's Hospital was mothballed out of spite. Financial support for children with special needs was cut and gate funding was slashed. Our elderly and chronically ill were left without critical CDAP medications. Petrotrin was shut down recklessly, jeopardizing fuel security and draining our foreign exchange. And Tobago, our sister isle, was abandoned. Its tourism sector crippled by the Seabridge fiasco and the PNM's laissez-faire response to the worst oil spill in the island's history. This is the shameful legacy of almost 10 long years. Mr. Speaker, the UNC government is taking decisive action in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago. This 2026 budget is a realignment of objectives towards a Trinidad and Tobago first policy. This budget is underpinned by clarity of purpose and anchored by 5 strategic pillars, each a critical dimension of national development, designed to deliver tangible and sustainable outcomes for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. These 5 are: 1. The first pillar is restoring confidence and fiscal stability. The second pillar is on unlocking productive investments and jobs. The third pillar is commercializing and optimizing public assets. The fourth pillar is modernizing infrastructure, transport, and digital services. And the fifth pillar is protecting the people through social investments and safety nets. Mr. Speaker, immediately following our victory in the last election, we set out to work with urgency, discipline, and an unshakable commitment to deliver. In our first 6 months, we moved swiftly with tangible actions, real achievements, and measurable impacts that have already begun changing lives. We developed justice to former colony workers. While the former administration left them waiting for a decade, this government in just 150 days delivered land leases to more than 200 former colony 1975 relatives. Promise made, promise kept. We secured landmark energy deals. We signed a historic agreement with ExxonMobil, which has the potential to strengthen Trinidad and Tobago's energy security. On the 8th of October 2025, we obtained the Office of Foreign Assets Control, the OFAC license from the United States Treasury Department to pursue development of gas on the Dragon Field. These advancements will attract significant foreign investments, create jobs, and unlock new revenue streams. Mr. Speaker, promise made, promise kept. We took the fight to the criminals, Mr. Speaker. We created 3 specialized ministerial portfolios: justice, defense, and homeland security, to prioritize targeted attention on zones of national security weaknesses. We have appointed a new Commissioner of Police who is leading an aggressive, coordinated attack and offensive against crime. And these results have been immediate. Murders and violent crimes are down by 40% compared to last year. Promise made, promise kept. We protected our citizens from floods. To correct a decade of neglect under the former administration, we launched a targeted flood mitigation and shelter management exercise with drain clearance, river desilting, embankment reinforcement, and road rehabilitation in flood-prone communities. Mr. Speaker, promise made, promise kept. We kept our promise to public servants by repealing the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority Act and ending years of anxiety for public officers. Promise made, promise kept. We honored our elderly. We brought immediate relief to 6,400 senior citizens whose applications had been abandoned by the former administration. Promise made, promise kept. We put students first by completing repairs to 279 schools under the Accelerated School Vacation Repair Program and distributing 20,000 book grants ahead of the new school term, ensuring safe classrooms and stronger starts for our children. We are in the process of delivering 18,000 laptops to Form 1 students. Promise made, promise kept. We saved lives of children in June 2025 by amending and strengthening the Children's Life Fund Act. We increased access to children battling life-limiting illnesses, including cancer, blood disorders, heart and kidney diseases, and more. Promise made, promise kept. We are reviving neglected facilities by initiating the rehabilitation and full operationalization of the abandoned Cougar Children's Hospital, the National Therapeutic Resource Center at Carson Field, and the UWI Debe campus, left to rot by the last government. Promise made, promise kept. We upgraded public health care by restructuring the CDAP program to include new medicines and launching CDAP Plus for specialized drugs at affordable, regulated prices. Promise made, promise kept. And we are not finished yet, Mr. Speaker. We stood up for law-abiding citizens by bringing stand-your-ground legislation via the Home Invasion, Self-Defense and Defense of Property Bill 2025. This bill is now out for public comment, Mr. Speaker. Promise made, promise kept. We halted the property tax that created anxiety for thousands of persons, including the elderly, retired, and low-income persons. Mr. Speaker, promise made, promise kept. We honored the outstanding wage settlement for NIB workers by immediately authorizing the payment for the period 2014 to 2016, which the former government had inexplicably withheld. This is the first step in engaging with the wider public service. Mr. Speaker, promise made, promise kept. This is the record. This is the record of a UNC government that performs. The first 150 days have proven one thing for sure. When you put the UNC in charge, progress is inevitable. We were able to deliver all of these positives in extremely difficult circumstances. Let me show you the disastrous record of the last government. Real GDP growth in Trinidad and Tobago dropped from 3.7% in 2014 to 2.5% in 2024. Similarly, during this period, the economy shrunk by 17%, with real GDP falling from $187 billion in 2014 to $154.9 billion in 2024. This country's nominal GDP fell by 8.4% between 2014 and 2024, from $188.9 billion to $173 billion. Over the last 10 years of PNM policy, the amount of money owed by the country to local and foreign creditors increased by over 100%, from $67.9 billion, or 37.1% of GDP in 2014, to $140.7 billion in 2024. This represents, Mr. Speaker, 81.8% of our GDP in 2024. As a result of the PNM's financial bungling, 10.2% of the country's revenue is now required to service this debt. This obviously places a significant constraint on resources available for national development. In 2014, Mr. Speaker, this was a mere 4.2%. Today, it is 10.2%. The former Minister of Finance and the 10-day Minister of Finance took our country from a Standard & Poor's A-grade rated economy in 2015 to a BBB minus rating in 2024. These two incompetent individuals eroded our revenue streams, squandered our resources, and undermined confidence, leading to 7 downgrades in our ratings and outlook over 9 years. Over the same period, Moody's Investor Services downgraded us from investment grade in 2014 to junk status under them. Under the PNM, 70,600 jobs were lost. 70,600. According to the CSO, 636,800 people were employed in 2014. Mr. Speaker, by 2024, the PNM had reduced this to 566,200 people, which means that 70,600 persons were pushed into unemployment by the PNM. To put this into perspective, the population of Tobago is about 60,000. So the number of persons who were put on the breadline by the PNM was substantially greater than the entire population of Tobago East and Tobago West combined. Visualize that, Mr. Speaker. Further, the labor force participation rate was 61% just when we left office. But by March 2025, under the PNM, this rate had collapsed to 54.3%. This is of grave concern to this government. And as I speak, we are implementing measures to significantly improve job creation in Trinidad and Tobago. The Honourable Prime Minister will reveal much more about this during this debate, Mr. Speaker. Let's look at our foreign reserves. At the end of calendar year 2014, Trinidad and Tobago's net official reserves stood at US $11,497.1 million, equivalent to 12.9 months of prospective import cover. Let me repeat that. At the end of calendar year 2014, Trinidad and Tobago's net official reserves stood at US $11,497.1 million, equivalent to 12.9, almost 13 months of import coverage. Would you believe, Mr. Speaker, that by March 2025, the official reserves had collapsed substantially to $5.272 million, representing just 6.1 months of prospective import cover? This has been the destructive legacy of the wicked PNM over the last decade. Mr. Speaker, you will recall the glee on the face of the former Minister of Finance. The entire country will recall the glee on the face of the former Minister of Finance when he increased the price of fuel over and over and over and over and over again, Mr. Speaker. Let me remind you that the then minister gloated and sneered that because citizens had not rioted yet, he could raise the price of gas again. And he did, again and again and again, Mr. Speaker. While citizens suffered in pain and frustration as the cost of living skyrocketed, the PNM government continued to pile pressure on the backs of those least able to afford. That is the hateful conduct from the former government that the people of this country rejected. So let me announce the first measure of this caring government in this budget that will benefit every single citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, Mr. Speaker, today, look at the glee on my face as I make this announcement. The previous PNM government has been unfairly overcharging citizens for super gasoline. On behalf of this UNC government, Mr. Speaker, I wish to announce that in our bid to build economic fairness, the Honourable Kamala Prasad Bisasa has instructed that effective immediately, the price of super gasoline at the gas station pump will be reduced by $1 per litre. Lest it be lost on the minds of those opposite, the average fuel tank is about 50 liters. This means that every time you go to fill up your tank, you will be saving $50 thanks to this reduction. When UNC wins, everybody. Mr. Speaker, non-energy sector growth is concentrated on 9 industries, with particularly notable contributions from non-energy manufacturing sub-industries, including food, beverages, and tobacco products at 17.1%, and other manufactured products at 4.3%, as well as transport and storage at 5.6%, and trade and repairs at 1.4%. Mr. Speaker, over the period January to March 2025, real economic activity at basic prices contracted by 2.1%. This downturn was due to the declines in both energy at 4.8% and non-energy at 1%, and is forecasted to continue until the end of at the end of calendar 2025, due to ongoing geopolitical and trade tensions, as well as reflecting institutional weaknesses. Mr. Speaker, the energy sector's lackluster performance reflects continued declines in natural gas exploration and extraction, testifying to the previous government's mediocre efforts in stimulating this critical sector. Such a hay, truth, such a hay. The projected growth in the non-energy sector, is driven by slow but positive growth in the non-energy manufacturing, specifically in food, beverage, and tobacco products, as well as in trade, repairs, transport, and storage. Positive momentum continues in the non-energy sector, especially in the accommodation and food services, real estate, construction, and financial and insurance service industries. Mr. Speaker, I turn to the medium-term economic outlook. This government has adopted the UNC Manifesto 2025 as official government policy to guide the initiatives that will be implemented over the next 5 years. As a result, we expect stabilization and positive growth in fiscal 2026. Let me repeat that, Mr. Speaker. As a result, we expect stabilization and positive growth in 2026 as we roll out our development plans and initiate the rebuilding of Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago's economic prosperity, economic security, energy security, and regional stability have also been given a significant boost with the recent United States support for the Dragon gas proposal. And we will be exploring every avenue to advance this project. You see, Mr. Speaker, after years of underperformance, natural gas production in Trinidad and Tobago is projected to recover from the current levels of approximately 2.6 billion cubic feet per day to over 3.2 billion cubic feet per day by 2027. That is performance of the UNC government. As the new fields come online, the development of the Manatee field alone, with estimated reserves of more than 2 trillion cubic feet of gas, will be groundbreaking for our country. On the other hand, oil production, which has averaged just 60,000 barrels per day in recent years, is also expected to benefit from enhanced exploration and development initiatives. Mr. Speaker, they talk it, we do it. Diversification remains at the heart of our strategy. We are already focusing on agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, and the service industry, amongst others. Increasing investments and facilitating growth in agriculture and agro-processing will not only support the diversification thrust, but also strengthen our agricultural base for food security and reduce our food import bill. We will also focus on expanding manufacturing exports, boosting medical, sport, health, education, and cultural tourism, and accelerating digital transformation, amongst others. These are expected to generate employment, increase foreign exchange inflows, and create opportunities for young people and small businesses. Foreign exchange shortages remain a challenge for businesses, limiting access to raw materials and production. The unfair practices at major commercial banks and the Exim Bank have exacerbated these shortages. This administration will act decisively to stabilize the external position by restoring energy production and creating an enabling environment for business and investment. We will increase foreign currency inflow. We will ensure that productive sectors have access to foreign exchange. We have already installed new boards at the First Citizens Bank and the Exim Bank, and we will move to install a majority of directors at Republic Bank Limited. I am proud, Mr. Speaker, to announce that in our effort to build economic fairness, Tobago's interests will be represented on all 3 boards, with a Tobagonian being present on each board. By accelerating energy production, broadening and deepening diversification, consolidating the fiscal accounts, and taking stable, proactive steps to stabilize the external sector, we will protect Trinidad and Tobago's investment-grade standing and deliver sustainable growth. Above all, our medium-term plan is about restoring confidence, protecting livelihoods, and creating diverse opportunities for every citizen. When the UNC wins, everybody wins. The former PNM government sabotage the integrity and performance of our very critical institutions. Your UNC government has already commenced the strengthening and redesigning of these institutions to be effective, accountable, and resilient. Mr. Speaker, when I assumed office, I found state enterprises in a state of absolute decay, with multiple examples of corruption, abuse of office, lack of accountability, and lack of transparency. This tells you what those on the opposite sides have been doing. Mr. Speaker, this is confirmed by the last report of the procurement regulator, which stated that $5 billion in contracts were illegally awarded by ministries in one financial year. Contracts were awarded without tendering, without key performance indicators, and with no form of monitoring for value for money, and in some instances, without any verification that contracts were in fact completed. This was a veritable feeding frenzy of enormous proportions. The Churchill-Roosevelt Highway extension has cost overruns of over $250 million on a $400 million original contract. We are being price gouged by suppliers for medicines, medical supplies, and medical services to the tune of almost $500 million a year. Just at Queen's Hall, they have been renting a tent worth $30,000 since 2023. $30,000 per month. They're renting a tent for $30,000 per month since 2023. The 3-year contract would have cost $2 million thus far and will surpass $3 million when it expires for one tent. $3 million in rent for a $30,000 tent. That is the legacy of those opposite, Mr. Speaker. The population of Trinidad and Tobago is robbed of billions of dollars that could have been spent on medicine, crime-fighting equipment for the police, school supplies and school grants for the vulnerable, infrastructure works to prevent flooding, and much, much more. All of this happened under the former regime. Over the last 9 years at this rate, $45 billion was lost to PNM-sponsored and facilitated theft. No one was held accountable, Mr. Speaker. That is why you are seeing PNM appointees resigning and running. They are being called on to account for billions of taxpayers' dollars that were wasted. Mr. Speaker, we are replacing outdated frameworks with modern governance standards. The Ministry of Finance is updating the obsolete State Enterprise Performance Monitoring Manual. This will ensure the best international practices concerning corporate governance, accountability, transparency, and delivering value for taxpayers' money. Let me give you just one example of why these changes are critical and are being made today. Mr. Speaker, CAL's management spent Caribbean Airlines Limited's management spent more than $60 million on audits from Ernst & Young and PricewaterhouseCoopers. Let me repeat that because I don't want it to get lost in the error. Mr. Speaker, CAL's management spent more than $60 million on audits from Ernst & Young and PricewaterhouseCoopers, but still failed to submit a single audited financial statement to the Ministry of Finance for over 9 years under their government. Shockingly, even in the absence of these audited accounts, even in the absence of transparency and accountability, the former Minister of Finance repeatedly approved financing for CAL in 2017, 2018, 2019, and as recently as March 2025 to cover operational costs. The former Minister of Finance closed his eyes as Carl descended into inefficiency, non-compliance, and fiscal indiscipline, leaving behind not a national airline, but a national liability. Worse yet, he actively fueled this reckless behavior by repeatedly approving billions in financing without demanding accountability. In so doing, Mr. Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Diego Martin North East facilitated mismanagement, normalized waste and corruption, and abandoned his responsibility of fiduciary oversight. This is nothing short of criminal negligence. But we are fixing it. We have now installed a strong board of directors who are making the hard decisions required to fix our national airline. This, Mr. Speaker, this is your government working to ensure accountable fiscal policies. One of our first actions upon taking office was to repeal the Revenue Authority Act, the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority, and to move quickly and decisively to strengthen and equip the Inland Revenue Division and Customs and Excise Division with technology, skills, and legal authority to deliver timely, efficient, and transparent services to citizens, which will result, obviously, in the broadening of the tax base and a significant enhancement in revenue creation. That is where we will get the money. The previous administration, they laugh. The previous administration under-resourced and neglected both the Inland Revenue Division and the Customs and Excise Division, advancing TTRE as a replacement. For example, Mr. Speaker, the Petroleum and Large Taxpayers Business Unit, an entity responsible for approximately 85% of total tax revenue, was left operating at just 10% of its required capacity. 10%. That is why there was such substantial and significant revenue leakage, Mr. Speaker. The recruitment of 100 accountants and auditors promised by the member opposite in the 2022 budget never materialized. They deliberately and repeatedly sabotaged the country's largest revenue collectors, Mr. Speaker. From this podium here today, I challenge the PNM to tell the country in whose interest they were working when they chose to undermine our tax collection system and compromise the integrity of our country's revenue. But we are fixing it, Mr. Speaker. We are fixing it. The modernization of the Inland Revenue Division is being rolled out. For well over a decade, the Inland Revenue Division has operated under severe human resource constraints. In contrast, Mr. Speaker, its approved establishment allows for 1,054 posts. As of 2024-2025, when they were in office, only 356 had been filled, with a further 286 offices being occupied by acting officers. That is a significant understaffing, Mr. Speaker. And this persistent understaffing undermines compliance and erodes the state's credibility. But we are fixing it, Mr. Speaker. To address these deficiencies, the government has advanced a three-pronged strategy: short-term measures to stabilize operations, medium-term measures to modernize system, and a long-term initiatives to strengthen institutional capacity. In collaboration with the Service Commissions Department, priority is being given to filling all vacant posts and accelerating the recruitment process. Immediate action. Immediate action. Immediate action will focus on the appointment of 58 field officers 1, 50 tax officers 1, 33 revenue officers 1, and critical clerical and manipulative staff. In addition, real, good, sustainable paid jobs. But in addition, 64 tax auditors, 60 tax monitors, 5 criminal tax investigation officers, and 48 ICT officers will be engaged on contract to expand audit coverage, arrears collection, and return processing and taxpayer services. Mr. Speaker, real jobs for real people. We will drive a comprehensive digital transformation of the Inland Revenue Division and have commenced already procurement of an upgraded GenTax system to underpin the tax administrative function at the Inland Revenue Division. This modern system will support every core function at the IRD, including taxpayer registration, efficient return processing, payments, collections, compliance, and analytics. The IRD has already achieved 100% electronic tax filing, and this government will utilize and expand on the advanced features of GenTax to create a seamless end-to-end digital tax ecosystem that promotes voluntary compliance, fair enforcement, risk-based segmentation, and high-quality service delivery. Your government working for you, Mr. Speaker. Further, the Tax Administration Improvement Unit will be expanded to address the evolving needs of taxpayers. The immediate priority of the Inland Revenue Division is to stabilize its operational capacity through targeted staffing interventions. It is anticipated that with this coordinated approach with the Service Commissions Department, the promotion of all officers acting in vacant posts and the filling of all vacant entry-level positions will be completed, Mr. Speaker, by February 2026. Obviously, this will result in increased revenue collection. The Customs Administration, Mr. Speaker, Customs and Excise Division. Customs administrations across the world strike a balance between border protection and trade facilitation. In our context, where customs duties, VAT, and motor vehicle taxes constitute a significant share of tax revenue, the Customs and Excise Division is central to both national security and economic management. Furthermore, the Customs and Excise Division is charged with deterring the illegal movement of firearms, narcotics, counterfeit goods, hazardous substances, and undocumented persons. Despite its mandate, the Customs and Excise Division has suffered severe constraints over the past 9.5 years, including outdated legislation, outdated ICT systems and infrastructure, such as the automated system for customs data, the Assicuda, understaffing at the division, and limited capacity for electronic screening and enforcement at transit sheds and ports. But this government is fixing it, Mr. Speaker. To address these challenges, this administration has commenced concerted initiatives to drive the modernization of the Customs and Excise Division. We are moving swiftly to fill all vacancies in the Customs and Excise Division. We have already adopted targeted intervention by recommending to the Director of Personnel Administration individuals currently acting in key roles for promotion. The recruitment process for Customs Guards 1, Customs and Excise 1, and the key information technology to support the recently upgraded Assicuda system is at a way advanced stage. Real jobs for real people doing real work. In parallel with staffing, we will roll out a comprehensive training program. Hand in hand with our concerted drive to fill these vacancies, we will roll out an all-inclusive training program. The division will conduct more frequent risk-based assessments and audits of establishments. Audit teams, which are part of the division's regulatory unit, will be trained in digital audit techniques, equipped with modern tools created by the World Customs Organization and guided by annual schedules and surprise spot checks of importers and brokers. This combined approach, led by this government, Mr. Speaker, will ensure greater compliance, quicker processing, and more consistent enforcement, thereby safeguarding government revenue and promoting fairness in the excise system. We aim to deploy preventative officers to excise establishments to boost enforcement and reduce revenue leakages. To enhance efficiency at transit ports, staff will be reassigned to critical units such as valuations, post audits, and transit sheds. Retired officers will be engaged to mentor recruits, while additional cashiers will be employed to extend payment hours at customs location. Mr. Speaker, over the next 24 months, the Customs Training School will be upgraded with modern facilities, simulation labs, online learning capacity, and a structured curriculum aligned to the World Customs Organization standards. Through this government, training will be delivered via partnerships with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, World Customs Organization, regional customs schools, and local universities. Training will cover all officer levels, from induction for recruits to continuous professional development and nationwide e-learning. Leadership programs already launched with U.S. Customs and Border Protection support will also be expanded to build the next generation of supervisors and managers through targeted training, mentorship, and rotational exposure. To improve the ease of doing business, the Customs and Excise Division, despite and after urging the previous government that refused to implement electronic payments, Customs and Excise will now be able to finally do so by the end of 2025. We are fixing the problems, Mr. Speaker. In partnership with the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, we have launched an 18-month program to upgrade the Assecutor system. Under this arrangement, our trade and customs operations will be modernized through extended digitization of customs using Assecutor World and Assure platforms by streamlining processes, reducing manual interventions, and strengthening risk management. These processes will significantly reduce clearance times, aiming to transfer between private bonded warehouses within 24 hours, and will obviously lower costs associated with international trade. They will also enhance revenue collection and provide reliable, real-time information on imports and exports. The upgraded Assecutor system will support full valuation capabilities, electronic declarations, updated trade protocols, and integration within the community port system. To achieve this, Mr. Speaker, in collaboration with the UNCTAD team, we have formed a partner project team within the Customs and Excise Division and the Ministry of Finance. This team will be supported by a broad-based steering committee comprising all relevant private and public stakeholders to ensure that the project is completed within the targeted 18-month timeline. Mr. Speaker, I am happy to inform this Honourable House that on October 17, 2025, on October 7, 2025, just one day after my birthday, Mr. Speaker, the Assecutor agreement was signed between the Ministry of Finance and UNCTAD to deepen our long-standing partnership through extending upgrades to the world's customs management system. Furthermore, in the medium term, we aim to support organizational review and infrastructural development at the Customs and Excise Division. This would include a review of the staffing establishment and a rollout of improved and more comprehensive training programs with strict background and personnel vetting to uphold integrity and transparency. In keeping with its strategic direction, risk management will be embedded across cargo examination, verification, and delivery to boost efficiency, revenue collection, border protection, and the ease of doing business, Mr. Speaker. To drive this reform agenda, a designated project team has been established which will be mandated to oversee the implementation of this project. To strengthen preventative and enforcement capabilities, the Customs and Excise Division will expand its specialized units over the next 15 to 24 months, enhancing capability and capacity in marine interdiction, canine detection, drone surveillance, and intelligence analysis. These efforts will be supported by the acquisition of patrol vessels, scanners, vehicles, communication systems, and modern surveillance tools to improve rapid response and non-intrusive inspections. Operations will also be better integrated through a centralized command center, joint task forces, and standardized protocols for intelligence sharing and coordinating action. This institutional strengthening of Customs and Excise Division is a matter of national survival. For too long, our borders were left unsecured, our systems outdated, and our enforcement capacity weakened. Under this new administration, through strong oversight, we will build a more robust and accountable Inland Revenue Division and Customs and Excise Division. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, trade, business, small and medium-sized businesses also win. The international financial system increasingly demands that countries adhere to the highest standards of transparency and cooperation, and failure to do so carries real costs in terms of borrowing, investments, and reputation. Since assuming office, this government has acted with urgency and focus to finalize the outstanding requirements. Again, Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to announce that Trinidad and Tobago, under the guidance and management of the Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, is on course to be removed from the European Union's list of non-cooperative jurisdictions for tax purposes in February 2026. Currently, 2 criteria is left to be met before we can be formally removed from the list. The first criteria, 1.1, concerning the automatic exchange of financial account information. Trinidad and Tobago is scheduled to be cleared in the upcoming AEOI Peer Review Committee update, which will be published in December 2025. The second criteria, 3.2, relating to the base erosion and profit shifting country-by-country reporting standard. This was confirmed by the OECD's peer review compilation report released in 2025, which concluded that Trinidad and Tobago's domestic and exchange of information frameworks now meet the minimum international standards, released in September 2025, paving the way for our delisting in February 2026. We expect that such delisting will lower our borrowing costs, deepen our capital market, enhance revenue, and strengthen foreign exchange inflows. For our financial institutions, stronger correspondent banking ties will reduce transaction costs and accelerate payments, directly improving, Mr. Speaker, the ease of doing business. Diplomatically, delisting will remove a significant barrier that has constrained relations with EU member states. With this obstacle lifted, Trinidad and Tobago will be able to unlock greater cooperation in climate, finance, security, technology transfer, and capacity building. I turn now to multinationals, Mr. Speaker, and the reforming of transfer pricing. Multinational corporations must pay their fair share of taxes. For years under the previous government, the issue of transfer pricing was raised, but was never addressed in a cohesive, structured manner. A study by the ECLAC estimated that Trinidad and Tobago lost approximately $17.5 billion over 8 years due to the failure to act on transfer pricing. Until now, no effort has been made to protect the public purse. This government will once and for all review, make adjustments, and implement transfer pricing legislation to secure and fortify our revenue base. This primary legislation, Mr. Speaker, This primary legislation will be followed by secondary legislation and regulations that will provide the detailed rules and methodologies and compliance obligations to ensure smooth and effective implementation. Concomitantly, a comprehensive training program for transfer pricing techniques, documentation requirements, and audit methodologies will be rolled out at the Inland Revenue Division. These initiatives, Mr. Speaker, will ensure that multinational companies that operate in our jurisdictions pay their fair share of taxes to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. What those opposite failed or refused to do in 10 years, we will do in 2 years in the interest of the taxpaying citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. The benefits to Trinidad and Tobago are wide-ranging, securing revenues and adjusted profit shifting to key sectors, including oil, gas, petrochemicals, finance, and services. It will level the playing field for local businesses, ensuring that they are not disadvantaged against multinationals that shift profits abroad. It will provide certainty for investors who will know that Trinidad and Tobago applies rules that are transparent, predictable, and consistent with global practice. It will enhance our negotiating positions with both multinational companies and treaty partners, allowing us to defend our taxing rights with confidence backed by international standards. Very soon, I will bring draft legislation before this Honourable House, engage with stakeholders, commence officer training, and finalize the regulations and guidance needed to make this reform a reality. Mr. Speaker, on September 19th and 26th, 2025, the House of Representatives and the Senate, respectively, passed two critical pieces of legislation. The Miscellaneous FATF Compliance Act 2025 and the Counter-Proliferation Financing Act 2025. These measures represent decisive steps in strengthening Trinidad and Tobago's legislative and regulatory framework against money laundering, corruption, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing. Beyond legislation, this government is investing heavily in systems and institutions to ensure effective implementation of this legislation. The National Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Financing of Terrorism Committee, NAMLAC, has been strengthened under the leadership of the Attorney General to drive national coordination. Capacity building initiatives are being rolled out for the Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago, the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, law enforcement agencies, and other competent authorities, and the judiciary, and strengthening corresponding banking relationships, Mr. Speaker. This ensures that every arm of the system is prepared to demonstrate effectiveness during the assessment. Public education and industry sensitization programs are also being advanced to support compliance by financial institutions, listed businesses, and non-profit organizations. Trinidad and Tobago also continues to demonstrate its commitment to strengthening anti-money laundering, counter-financing of terrorism, and counter-proliferation financing framework through the conduct of its second National Risk Assessment, which was published in June this year, as well as the development of the National AML CFT CPF policy and strategy, which this government approved in July 2025. This country is now updating its second National Risk Assessment to ensure we keep abreast with the ever-evolving landscape. The importance of this work cannot be overstated, Mr. Speaker. Securing favorable ratings in the fifth round mutual evaluation will assist Trinidad and Tobago to exit the European Union's list of high-risk third countries, thereby improving access to international financial markets and strengthening corresponding banking relationships. Mr. Speaker, under this government, Trinidad and Tobago will meet the highest international standards in financial integrity. Mr. Speaker, This government is committed to ending the state of funding of criminal gangs by eliminating the CPEP and URP and replacing them with providing full-time, better paid jobs. To this end, I have established an employment fund in the Ministry of Finance with $475 million, which will be utilized with the $310 million in the unemployment fund for job creation. Our Honourable Prime Minister will provide greater detail on this very critical job creation exercise during her contribution in this debate. NLCB. The NLCB, the National Lotteries Control Board, is a major contributor of revenue to the government, with annual gross revenues close to $3 billion. However, illegal lotteries comprising bets and payouts formatted by third parties, on the NLCB's legal lottery games continue to impair the NLCB's profit margin. It is estimated that revenues generated from illegal lotteries are upwards of $9 billion per year. Additionally, these illicit activities also rob the government of income tax, corporation tax, windfall tax, and direct revenues from NLCB's available surpluses. Furthermore, these illegal operators are reportedly also involved in other forms of illegal activity, including money laundering, black market activities, and human trafficking. To combat illegal lotteries, I propose to increase existing penalties under Section 19, 20, and 21 of the Gambling and Betting Act. As an example, under Section 19, this penalty will be a fine of $250,000 and to imprisonment for 3 years, or B, conviction on indictment to a fine of $3 million and to imprisonment for 7 years. This is consistent with the new penalties that will be implemented as soon as the Gambling, Gaming and Betting Control Act is proclaimed. Notwithstanding the illegality of lotteries operating under the Gambling and Betting Act at this present, it is essential to highlight that current illegal lotteries may not be captured under those offences. Modern illegal lotteries are not conducted independently, but instead use the results of NLCB's online lottery draws. In this regard, tickets are issued to players, usually resembling a receipt from a grocery store. Consequently, to combat this new mode of illegal lottery, the following is proposed: the introduction of a new criminal offence under the National Lotteries Act, which mirrors Section 19 of the Gambling and Betting Act, but which criminalizes the receipt of a bet, the issuance of a ticket, or payout of any monies pursuant to the results of an NLCB online draw, where the persons are not agents of the NLCB, or where the person is an agent, the monies are returned to the NLCB. This offence should be heavily criminalized and carry a fine of $250,000 and imprisonment for 3 years, or conviction on indictment of a fine of $3 million and imprisonment for 7 years. Mr. Speaker, the NLCB's evidence of the results and who are authorized or agents will be prima facie case and evidence for these matters, therefore allowing the NLCB to give evidence to the police that can support criminal prosecutions. This will enable more NLCB input in fighting against illegal lotteries, and moreover, the offence will define a ticket broadly to ensure that grocery tickets receipts are covered. Mr. Speaker, owing to a lack of audits and the broad interpretation of Section 23 of the NLCB Act, NLCB has been allowed to retain tens of millions of dollars accumulated over the years. To combat this phenomenon and allow government to better access NLCB revenues, it is proposed that NLCB make quarterly payments to the Consolidated Fund as opposed to annual, and that NLCB be subjected to financial limits expressed by the Ministry of Finance in relation to various items of expenditure. This will ensure that a hard and fast budget by the NLCB would be in place, resulting in better control of revenue retention by the NLCB. Finally, pursuant to Section 23A of the National Lotteries Act, instant lottery surplus is paid into the Sport and Culture Fund. However, over the years, the instant lottery has not been profitable, resulting in some years having no deposits into the Sports and Culture Fund. To combat this, deposits into the Sports and Culture Fund will be set and approved by the Minister of Finance and will not be subject only to instant lottery surplus. This, together with the introduction of a hard and fast budget by the Minister of Finance, will allow greater control over NLCB sponsorships and will allow better financial management of the Sports and Culture Fund. The committee, Mr. Speaker, I propose the establishment of a Financial Oversight and Appropriations Committee, an FOAC. This committee will provide oversight and performance management for the government. It will have the authority to review, approve, and monitor all budget items, such as ministerial expenditure, projects, and investment decisions across all ministries at the sole discretion of the Honourable Prime Minister. This committee will work alongside the relevant ministry representatives and stakeholders to ensure the execution and proper management of state resources. The committee will be chaired by the Prime Minister, and the deputy chairs will be the Minister of Finance. The FOAC will screen major expense items, investment opportunities, projects, and funding proposals at a strategic level and provide oversight and governance to advance proposals before Cabinet consideration and the FNGP. I also propose the establishment of an Economic Resilience Council. Recognizing the imperative of sustained economic growth, diversification, and national economic resilience, the Economic Resilience Council will be established to serve as a strategic advising and policy coordinating body. It will support and guide economic development, initiatives that attract investment, stimulate entrepreneurship, generate employment opportunities, and promote equitable prosperity for all citizens. The Minister of Finance will chair the ERC and retain commercial consultants as needed to provide subject matter expertise. These consultants will work alongside relevant ministry representatives and applicable stakeholders to ensure the execution and proper management of state resources in line with the approved budget and official policy framework. The committee will oversee the financial evaluation and approval of all economic transformation strategies, borrowings, investments, and projects over $50 million. The Council is mandated to support the nation's economic transformation by facilitating investment, fostering innovation, promoting competitiveness, and guiding the transition towards a knowledge-based, export-oriented, and inclusive economy. Your government, Mr. Speaker, working for you. I turn now to our campaign promise to address the outstanding negotiations for the Public Service Association. For far too long, our public officers, the backbone of our nation's workforce, have been made to carry the weight of the former government's neglect and indifference. This government is taking this bold and historic step to restore justice, dignity, and respect to the hard-working men and women of the public service. After 9 long years of stagnation, we are committed to finally bringing all parties back to the bargaining table to address this long overdue injustice. On the completion of the bargaining process, we will work with Republic Bank, First Citizens Bank, and the National Insurance Board to find a comprehensive solution to discharge this national obligation. This government is focused on delivery and not delay, workers' rights and not neglect, appreciation and not excuses. In furtherance of the conclusion of negotiations for the civil service, statutory authorities, and the Tobago House of Assemblies for the periods 2014 to 2016 and 2017 to 2019. The Honourable Prime Minister has instructed me to advise the Chief Personnel Officer to submit a revised offer of 10%. Mr. Speaker, promise made, promise kept. Because when the UNC wins, public servants win. Public servants wins. I wish to advise the members of the teaching service, Mr. Speaker, the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force, and the Port of Spain and San Fernando City Corporations that this government will ratify the collective agreement signed in April 2025 between the Chief Personnel Officer and their respective associations, unions, and committees. The recurrent cost of implementing these agreements is estimated at $214 million annually, with arrears of $730 million as of December 2025. I would like, Mr. Speaker, to share some additional policy decisions that the government will undertake to improve the lives of all public servants, teachers, and central government daily rated workers. Upon assuming office, I must say that I was shocked to learn that our retirees in these groups were removed from the UNIMED Group Health Plan precisely when medical issues are most likely to occur. The need for health insurance then becomes more critical. Accordingly, with my Prime Minister's guidance, I have instructed that an appropriate request for proposals be prepared and issued to seek proposals from the market for an option that allows our retirees and their families to maintain membership in the public sector health plan. When the UNC wins, public servants, teachers, and central government daily worker raters also wins, Mr. Speaker. The job evaluation exercises for the civil services are estimated to be completed within the next 6 to 8 months. This major exercise marks a significant milestone in the modernization of the public service. This government is committed to achieving this exercise within 6 to 8 months. However, apart from the revised job descriptions with updated duties and responsibilities, it will provide another significant opportunity for nationals of this country. Upon completion of this exercise, approximately 40% of all fixed-term standardized contract positions will be made permanent and pensionable. Real jobs for real people to do real work. When UNC wins, workers win. In comparison, another 20 to 23% of standard fixed-term contracts will also be classified into the new grade structure. This exercise will result in the reduction of fixed-term contract employment by as much as 63% and bring these contract officers within the ambit of public service, Mr. Speaker. You see, Mr. Speaker, when UNC wins, even contract workers win. I turn now to a review of the VAT system. All stakeholders are aware that the value-added tax has become increasingly onerous to administer. Businesses are required to file returns and reconcile credits every 2 months, while the Inland Revenue Division, which has been short-staffed for the last 9.5 years, must constantly process and verify refund claims. This cycle has led to a build-up of refund arrears, which in turn undermines business confidence and strains fiscal management. This is yet another untenable situation that the previous government allowed to fester. Accordingly, this government is today signaling its intention to review the existing VAT regime and, if feasible, replace it with a simplified, more efficient sales tax applied at the point of final transaction. The concept of the sales tax is simpler, more straightforward, easier to administer, and eliminates the persistent and complex problem of calculating and auditing refund claims. We plan to initiate this review in the current fiscal year with the necessary technical guidance. This transition will require comprehensive legal amendments, administrative restructuring, IT reconfiguration, and close consultation with stakeholders across the country. At the same time, the government will clear the backlog of VAT refunds and bring closure to outstanding arrears. We will also ensure that any transition to sales tax is revenue neutral and socially balanced, with appropriate protection for low-income households. When UNC wins, businesses win. Mr. Speaker, in July 2025, we had the distinct honor of hosting Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji. During this visit, Trinidad and Tobago was recognized and congratulated by being the first Caribbean nation to adopt India's Unified Payments Interface, a proven digital platform already used by hundreds of millions worldwide. This secure system, which will be further rolled out in 2026, will accelerate financial inclusion, empower small businesses and e-commerce, and strengthen our digital economy. The Prime Minister of India also made generous contributions to support the development of our people. India gifted 2,000 laptops to the Prime Minister's flagship laptop program, with the laptop set to arrive in Trinidad and Tobago in December 2025. In agriculture, India donated agro-processing machinery valued at $1 million to Namdevco and extended technical support to farmers, to natural farming systems. Our healthcare sector also benefited from the generous donations of 20 hemodialysis units and 2 sea ambulances, which will significantly boost our capacity in chronic and emergency care. Mr. Speaker, between October and November 2025, a 50-day Jaipur foot artificial limb fitment camp has been established at the Wali Nagar site, benefiting 800 individuals in Trinidad and Tobago. Importantly, we signed a memorandum of understanding on the Indian pharmacopoeia for the long-term supply of affordable, quality generic drugs and treatment opportunities. The program of cultural exchanges for 2025 to 2028 between the two nations was renewed, providing opportunities for steel pan artists and cultural practitioners to showcase their talent in India. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, cultural activities and cultural activists and musicians also win. India also extended their overseas citizenship of India eligibility to the 6th generation of our diaspora, strengthening bonds with thousands of our citizens. Mr. Speaker, with Grenada, we are rebuilding an energy and trade bridge, unlocking Grenada's resources alongside Trinidad and Tobago's world-class services. On July 29, 2025, the Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada Chambers of Industry and Commerce signed a cooperation agreement to pursue joint ventures, market access, and regional expansion. I turn to the United States, our arrangements and relationship with the United States with regards to security and energy cooperation. Mr. Speaker, my Prime Minister has just returned from a successful trip to the United States. I wish to use this platform on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago to thank President Trump and the people and government of the United States of America, Secretary Rubio, and others who we would have met, when the Prime Minister would have met when she traversed to the United States, for their support, for their committed support, for their commitment to continued support, to support Trinidad and Tobago in our national development, specifically and continuously in security and energy cooperation. On the basis of that engagement and that support, Mr. Speaker, we are modernizing collaboration with the United States under the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative to strengthen border and maritime security, counter drug and firearms trafficking, and dismantle organized crime. This partnership has already produced tangible benefits, including donated hospital equipment and the U.S. Naval Ship Comfort mission, which provided free medical, dental, and eye care services to nearly 2,000 citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. A new multi-million-dollar agreement with ExxonMobil for ultra-deep water exploration off our East Coast, signed in August 2025, marks the company's return after 2 decades. Confidence in this government, Mr. Speaker. And if these discoveries prove viable, it will anchor Trinidad and Tobago as the hemisphere's energy hub. I repeat, Mr. Speaker, during the Honourable Prime Minister's recent visit to Washington and discussions with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, we reaffirmed our partnership on security and counter narcotics cooperation. For reference, Mr. Speaker, the United States commended our efforts to counter transnational criminal organizations and stem illicit firearms and narcotics flows, Mr. Speaker. Both governments also pledged continued support for UN-led efforts to stabilize Haiti. Mr. Speaker, during the Prime Minister's attendance at the 80th UN General Assembly, bilateral agreements were signed with China and the UAE. China will provide $94 million grant to fund national projects, including new fire tenders for under-resourced stations, something that the previous government abandoned and refused to do over their 9.5+ years in government. The UAE arrangements allow visa-free entry for diplomatic and official passport holders and introduces an MOU to rehabilitate the Couva Children's Hospital. These partnerships are practical, not ceremonial. They are practical, Mr. Speaker. Yes. You see, when UNC wins, children win. When UNC wins, firemen win. Mr. Speaker, these partnerships are practical, not ceremonial. They expand foreign exchange earnings, they attract investment, they strengthen border security, and open new opportunities for business and people alike. We will drive them with urgency so that diplomacy delivers jobs, competitiveness, and prosperity. Modern infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, is the backbone of a modern economy. When this government assumed office, bridges were unsafe, drains were blocked, and coastal roads were eroding. That era of neglect is done. Through the Boots on the Ground initiative, the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure is identifying roads, drains, and bridges most in need of rehabilitation, putting people first, and restoring safe, reliable access nationwide. Mr. Speaker, in Fiscal 2026, we will advance a comprehensive program to safeguard lives and property. Under the Strategic Drainage Plan, $13.8 million will fund studies and design in South Oropouche and $60 million for structural works in Caroni and in Oropouche. The Flood Mitigation and Erosion Control Program will execute 18 ongoing and 119 new projects worth $238.6 million, with $29.95 million, that's $30 million assigned for river clearing and embankments in high-risk communities, Mr. Speaker. Pump house upgrades and the near completion of the Caroni River Rehabilitation Project will reinforce defensives and protect farmlands and homes. These 566 projects will bring lasting solutions and more climate resilience communities across Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Speaker, when UNC wins, everybody wins. Thank you. Approximately $1.1 billion will be spent to modernize roadways and improve safety. The Port of Spain to East-West corridor works include an overpass at the Churchill Roosevelt and Southern Main Road Junction and Macoya interchange designs. $126 million. Upgrades continue on Saddle Road, Ricing Road, Uriah Butler, and the South Trong highways. Major highways include the CRH extension to Manzanilla, $155 million. The Valencia-Toco Road, $248.7 million. The Solomon-Hochoy extension to Point Fortin, $351 million. 93 projects will repair landslides, bridges, and rural roads, including the rehabilitation of the Naparima Mayao Road. A new highways information system will enable real-time monitoring and planning, supported by the upgraded operations of the Agua Santa asphalt plant. We are investing in bridges, Mr. Speaker. The bridge rehabilitation program continues with 7 major projects. Colonial and Papuri Road bridges are under construction. New bridges in Caripichaima, in Mayaro, in Williamsville, in Valencia, and Cuba North will begin before the end of this calendar year, Mr. Speaker. We are developing and delivering a modern and connected transportation network through the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation, through the Ministry of Transport. We'll get to Civil Aviation just now. Through the Ministry of Transport, we will implement an ambitious program to modernize public transport, traffic management, and aviation, Mr. Speaker. We will finally operationalize the Motor Vehicle Accident Fund. Mr. Speaker, would you believe that this fund was first approved in 2015, but was never enacted over the last 9+ years, almost a decade, which this fund was designed to provide relief to victims of uninsured drivers. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, we are rolling out the National Transportation Policy to cut travel times and reduce collisions through better signal equipment, backup power, and a modern traffic management center. The PTSC will introduce electric buses under a leasing pilot of 30 projects by mid-2026 and expand routes through a PPP with maxi taxi operators to ensure rural connectivity. The intelligent public sector transport solution will feature a computer app, e-ticketing, and real-time schedules. The A&R Robinson International Airport will be fully operationalized by the second quarter of fiscal 2026. We are not talking about practical opening. The A&R Robinson International Airport will be fully operationalized by the second quarter of fiscal 2026, strengthening Tobago's tourism and positioning Trinidad and Tobago as a regional air hub with new bilateral air services agreements across the Americas and Africa. Mr. Speaker, $298.9 million is allocated to protect communities from coastal erosion. Work will commence at the Lady Hale shoreline, at Granville and Otaheite, with new projects in Salabia, Macarip, and Maracas Bay, which will safeguard tourist and fishing sites. Mr. Speaker, it's not yet done. There's much more we are going to do. The Port Authority will procure a third ship-to-shore crane and refurbish the CARICOM wharf to boost regional trade. The removal of shipwrecks in Chagaramas, Claxton Bay, and San Fernando, abandoned by those opposite, will improve navigation and safety and will be undertaken by this government. Mr. Speaker, better health care is central to our agenda. The Couva Medical and Multi-Training Facility will finally open, refocusing on children's health. This Couva Medical and Multi-Training Facility, Mr. Speaker, was renamed by those opposite. We propose to return it to its original mandate. This was designed to be the Couva Children's Hospital, a vision of the Honourable Prime Minister. We return that hospital to its original mandate, Mr. Speaker. When UNC wins, children win, Mr. Speaker. The San Fernando Hospital will add a new catheterization lab. The Port of Spain General Hospital Central Block will be operationalized by March 2026. And the Sangre Grande Hospital commissioned this year. This is not practical completion, Mr. Speaker. This is real completion. A $35 million refurbishment program and a $45 million in facility upgrades will modernize wards and systems. $60 million will procure critical equipment, including CT scanners, X-ray units, and surgical towers. To cut surgical wait times, $20 million is earmarked for cardiac care, $100 million for dialysis, and $10 million for orthopedic and eye surgery. Dental services will be revived through new equipment in 37 clinics, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we will cut wait times for life-saving procedures because faster care saves lives, Mr. Speaker. The Minister of Health, in his presentation, will will expand and provide even more details on these activities. Mr. Speaker, I turn to public utilities. Access to reliable utilities is a fundamental right, Mr. Speaker. Between May and July 2025, over $150 million was invested in projects that improve services to households nationwide. Through the Utilities Assistance Program, $7.2 million in water and electricity bill relief reached more than 12,000 families, and $1.8 million was allocated for tanks and solar panels for rural households. This fiscal, $250 million will expand rural electrification and grid upgrades, installing 8,000 LED streetlights to improve safety and reduce costs. Promise made, promise kept. They promised light bulbs and didn't deliver. We are delivering street lights, Mr. Speaker, for everybody. Renewable energy projects worth $75 million will begin advancing our clean energy goals. TSTT will invest $200 million to expand fiber-to-home connections and strengthen cybersecurity, while $2 million will fund youth entrepreneurship through the YBT. When UNC wins, the youth wins, Mr. Speaker. We made the strategic decision to cancel the WASA transformation plan, preserving 3,700 jobs and redirecting $30 million in savings to critical services. Water supply has improved dramatically in areas long neglected. Carapal increased 1.5 million gallons per day. Navet, 600,000 gallons per day. Siparia, from every 9 days to 3 times weekly. Maracas Bay is now 5 times weekly. $300 million will replace pipelines in Port of Spain, San Fernando, and Arima. A $50 million smart metering program will improve billing accuracy and reduce loss. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, even Arima wins. The fact is, when the UNC wins, Mr. Speaker, everybody wins. Mr. Speaker, local government is the face of the state in communities. The Local Government Sector Plan 2025 to 2030 will reset municipal delivery on 4 principles: accountability, data-driven execution, resilience, and citizen-focused service. Disaster management units are being equipped with boats, early warning systems, and trained community emergency response teams. Schools will play a role in public education. We will strictly enforce litter and dumping laws and modernize penalties to deter offenders. Equipment provided by partners such as Japan and the United Nations will help tackle sargassum and the coastal seaweed protection and the coastal cleanup efforts, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, energy remains the backbone of our economy. In April 2025, crude and condensate output averaged 52,357 barrels per day, rising to 55,257 barrels by August, an increase of nearly 3,000 barrels under this government. Gains came from BPTT, EOG Resources, and Heritage Petroleum, supported by the Mentor Development Project that achieved first production in May. Heritage is expanding its drilling campaign, and Perenco's acquisition of shallow water assets from BPTT and Woodside is expected to boost mature field output. Natural gas production rose from 2.41 to 2.73 billion cubic feet per day between April and May 2025. Driven by BPTT's Cypra Phase 1, Cypra Phase 1, gas production increased between April and May 2025, under our May 2025. Phase 2 will further strengthen supply, Mr. Speaker. Foreign investment in upstream remains robust. 2.2 billion projected in 2025, rising to 2.5 billion in 2026. Foreign investment in upstream industries, Mr. Speaker. The deepwater bid round offering 26 blocks closed with 4 bids and a US $42.5 million PSC was signed with ExxonMobil for TTUD-1, marking renewed international confidence and confidence in this government, Mr. Speaker. We are advancing energy cooperation with Grenada, Suriname, and Guyana on exploration, renewable energy, and capacity building. Negotiations with the Trinidad and Tobago Steel Company for a new gas contract will restart steel production, creating jobs and reviving exports. Mr. Speaker, as we maximize oil and gas returns, we remain committed to renewables. Our goal is a 15% emissions reduction by 2030. A 92.2 megawatt Brecon Castle solar plant began delivering green power in July 2025 and will be the largest in the English-speaking Caribbean when completed. We are finalizing a renewable energy policy and progressing towards wind development, with 2.75 gigawatts onshore and 32 gigawatts offshore already identified. The Offshore Wind Resource Assessment Program, expanded in July 2025, will provide bankable data by 2026. We are also laying the foundation for a green hydrogen economy, aiming to scale to 25 gigawatts of offshore wind and 1.5 million tons of hydrogen by 2024, reaching 4 million tons by 2065. This government, Mr. Speaker, is not merely managing the sector, we are shaping its future. Mr. Speaker, agriculture is central to diversification and food security. It currently contributes less than 1% of GDP, a strategic vulnerability we propose to reduce. We will align CARICOM's 25 by 25 initiative to reduce food imports by at least 25% by 2030 while promoting agro-exports. A 3-year priority A 3-year priority communities program for 15 high-demand products with annual focus on 3 crops and 1 livestock category. Climate-resilient farming and crop insurance, greenhouse incentives, and farmer and water investing harvesting systems, Mr. Speaker. Integration of agriculture into schools and youth entrepreneurship through Youth Agricultural Fund. Export growth in fine flavor cocoa, Moruga pepper, and aquaculture, doubling agro exports by 2020. $793.7 million TT dollars will be invested in infrastructure, irrigation, fisheries, land development, and agri-tech initiatives. Smart agriculture and AI farming will increase efficiency and self-sufficiency, targeting $1 billion in exports over the next fiscal year. We are distributing long promises land leases to former Caroni workers and developing residual lots at Caroni and Orange Grove. When the UNC wins, Mr. Speaker, former Caroni workers win. Diversification depends on competitive businesses. A new export academy in partnership with the TT Chamber and the IDB will train SMEs in trade facilitation, financing, e-commerce, and global marketing, building 100 export-ready firms every year. The Exim Bank will return to its proper mandate of supporting exporters through foreign currency loans. For the first year, repayments will be made in TT dollars and then in currency of the loan. Transparent eligibility criteria and public reporting will ensure fairness, especially for SMEs, Mr. Speaker. We will launch a national registry of exporters and a patriotic buy local, build Trinbago campaign to keep wealth at home. Partial scope agreements are currently being advanced with India and West Africa. Trinidad and Tobago's maritime sector has not been left out. It will be repositioned as the Southern Caribbean Yachting and Marine Services hub. Simplified immigration and customs procedures, digital clearances, and PPP-driven marinas and super yacht facilities will expand tourism and investment. Our investment targets are clear. $3 billion over 2 years and $9 billion in 5 years, aimed at creating, Mr. Speaker, 3,000 jobs. Standardized investor documentation, stronger interagency coordination, and better aftercare will ensure delivery. Idle or distressed state assets will be repurposed for revenue, including the redevelopment of the long-abandoned Caroni Racing Complex into a world-class convention center. This is being done in partnership with the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, Mr. Speaker. You see, Mr. Speaker, when UNC wins, manufacturers. Trinidad and Tobago planning will be re-engineered for end-to-end digital processing within 30 working days with national eKYC for easy verification. Mr. Speaker, we cannot build growth without partnership. The new private sector organization of Trinidad and Tobago, the PSOT, will unite chambers and associations to coordinate investment and drive innovation. In fiscal 2026, stakeholder consultations will inform sectoral export strategies. We will implement the National E-Commerce Strategy 2025 to 2030, finalize the National Consumer Policy, and operationalize the TT Chile Partial Scope Trade Agreement, granting duty-free access for 213 products immediately and 54 more within 3 years, Mr. Speaker. We will expand our cultural industries through a creative value chain fund supporting film, fashion, design, and music. Enhanced IP protection and duty concession will empower creatives and generate thousands of jobs, Mr. Speaker. Tourism remains a high-growth sector. We will develop new products in the medical, sport, and cultural tourism sector, facilitate the completion of hotels, including 4 Points, Hampton Inn, and Maracas Bay, and advance Tobago's Marriott and Elephant Tree resorts. The visitor experience will be modernized through secure, cashless payments and improved connectivity. A year-round Carnival City and the Turtle Tourism Capital Initiative will integrate culture, conservation, and community benefit. Direct U.S. flights to Tobago will strengthen access and incentives for global hotel brands and will spur foreign investment and, again, job creation in Trinidad. This government, Mr. Speaker, recognizes a nation's wealth lies in its people. Growth means little if it does not improve the lives and expand opportunity to citizens of this country. Through our people-centered development framework, we are restoring dignity, equity, and hope by investing in sport, education, housing, and healthcare so that every citizen can rise. Working with the World Bank, we are reforming social protection to ensure that assistance reaches those who are most in need. Beneficiary data are being integrated, payments digitized, and compliance strengthened. Between May and July 2025, senior citizens' pensions supported 115,252 persons at a cost of $1.12 billion. Public assistance grants were supported to 14,000 persons at a cost of $65 million. Food support under this government, Mr. Speaker, food support reached 12,700 homes, and disability grants served 25,600 citizens. Another 46 million was channeled through NGOs to deliver specialized services to those most in need. Mr. Speaker, youth development. Our youth are the engine of national renewal. Programs such as UTech have trained hundreds in cosmetology, events, and culinary arts, granting CVQ certification. Healthcare, drilling rig, plumbing, and technical training have created new career pathways. The refurbishment of the youth development centers in Chatham, Presto, El Dorado, and Chaguanas will expand the capacity for 250 residential trainees. The Retiree Adolescent Partnership and the National Youth Policy 2026 to 2030 will guide future initiatives in training, entrepreneurship, and leadership. A new construction sector skills program will certify 250 young people for employment and small business creation in this vital industry. Mr. Speaker, housing is both a social necessity and an economic driver. We have reformed the home improvement grant, digitizing applications and doubling the number of grants delivered to 1,200 in fiscal 2026. Since taking office 6 months ago, 208 home improvement grants and 28 home construction grants totaling $8.2 million have been approved. 1,461 units are under construction in Arima, Dabadi, and Couva, while 35 HVIP projects are completed and 44 are underway. Quarterly HEC performance reports will now be published. Mr. Speaker, have no fear. Yeah, have no fear. The UNC is here. Mr. Speaker, our ambitious target is to provide 20,000 affordable homes through PPPs and innovative designs. We will launch first-time homeowner grants, low-interest loans for young families, and revive the Land for the Landless program. The Foundation for Life program will help single mothers and seniors with rent-to-own options, while inclusive housing at Edinburgh 500 will serve persons with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, good health is the foundation of prosperity. Amendments to the Children's Life Fund Act now cover life-limiting conditions such as sickle cell disease and rare cancers, ensuring children receive timely care. Extended hours health centers now operate in 12 communities, reducing hospital congestion. The CEDAP program, Mr. Speaker, The CEDA program was modernized with new life-saving medicines for hypertension, mental health, and autism, benefiting 300,000 citizens. Digitization is advancing through a national health management information system with a secure health ID, enabling seamless access to records. We will legislate a medical malpractice court, no-fault compensation fund, and a revised patients' charter. Mr. Speaker, education must prepare every child for a digital, inclusive future. Special needs children, special needs students now receive dedicated exam concessions. 13 partner schools have been strengthened with $11 million in support in fiscal 2020. In case you missed it, Mr. Speaker, 13 partner schools dedicated to special needs students have been strengthened with $11 million in support in fiscal 2026 by this government. With UNICEF, we launched universal screening for children aged 4 to 6 to detect early learning challenges. Mr. Speaker, 18,000 devices are being distributed to Form 1 students at a cost of $146 million, accompanied by AI training for 10,800 teachers. The Vacation Repair Program upgraded 279 schools, recognized as one of the most successful in recent history. Another UNC incentive, Mr. Speaker, another UNC initiative to tackle violence in schools. 95 Special Reserve Police officers are now stationed in 50 high-risk schools. Vision and physical screening programs will continue nationwide. A new literacy and numeracy series in 2026 will address learning gaps, while $10 million in fiscal 26 has been assigned to modernize networks in 456 primary schools. The GATE and higher education loan programs, Mr. Speaker, remain central to access, with 345 bursaries awarded this year. Mr. Speaker, the UWI Debe campus will be operationalized for law, forensics, IT, and AI training, reviving South Trinidad's academic potential, Mr. Speaker. Promise made, promise kept. Mr. Speaker, sport drives unity and national pride. Rehabilitation of pools in Maloney, Morva, Tonopuna, Beach, and Rio Claro continues alongside upgrades at National Stadium. When UNC wins, Mr. Speaker, everybody wins. New community grounds and the elite athlete gym at Tacarigua will enhance performance and health. Scholarships through UTT and partnerships with GC Foster in Jamaica and India are developing coaching and sport administration, including women's cricket. The Samuel Badri Cricket Academy facility at the UTT San Fernando will serve as a national training base. Programs such as Java Cricket that serves 2,000 youths with these hands and Boss Lady equip communities with practical and entrepreneurial skills, Mr. Speaker. 10 new community centers. 10 new community centers with full accessibility features will open in fiscal 2020. Mr. Speaker, on this monumental venture, this huge venture, I want to congratulate our women's cricket team for their fabulous victory. And I want to wish them well. And they must be heartened with the news that they are getting, that this government is making sport a priority in Trinidad. I also want to use the opportunity, as I'm reminded by my Honourable Prime Minister, to also wish the Trinidad and Tobago football team the best of luck as they represent our country tomorrow in their match, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, citizens deserve safety and peace. After a decade of record crime and neglect, we are taking decisive action through a national safety strategy based on intelligence, technology, and community engagement. The Ministry of Justice has been re-established to coordinate the justice chain. The Home Invasion, Self-Defense, and Defense of Property Bill 2025 will criminalize home invasion and affirm citizens' rights to defend themselves. A judiciary chancellor will manage case flow, freeing the Chief Justice to focus on jurisprudence. We will expand courtrooms in Chaguanas, Rio Claro, Sangre Grande, and Diego Martin, and enshrine a constitutional right to a timely trial. Victim support will include restitution, job placement, and housing. The DPP and public defenders' offices will be strengthened. Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the administration of justice will be given the priority that they so desperately need, but was so desperately lacking under the former government, Mr. Speaker. We have restored leadership to the TTPS with a new Commissioner of Police, and we have already absorbed 800 special reserve officers to address staff shortages. That is performance, Mr. Speaker. 67 new vehicles and additional transit units have expanded patrol reach, Mr. Speaker. The National Operations Center is being reintegrated under the TPPS. Municipal police and mobile units are being expanded. Updated E999 systems and intelligence-led operations will improve responsiveness, Mr. Speaker. We are building as well a better prison system. 500 new officers are being recruited. Real jobs for real people, Mr. Speaker. Facilities are receiving sanitation, transport, and security upgrades, including anti-drone technology and cell jammers. The 268-year-old Port of Spain prison is being decommissioned, replaced by a modern correctional facility focused on rehabilitation. Mr. Speaker, the fire service is being reinforced with 280 auxiliary officers, 225 new breathing apparatuses, and station upgrades in Savanetta, Santa Cruz, and Sangre Grande, Mr. Speaker. New vehicles and thermal imaging equipment will boost readiness. We will reform firearm laws for responsible ownership, promote rehabilitation over incarceration for non-violent offenders, expand CCTV coverage, strengthen port security, and Mr. Speaker, establish a forensic science complex and a national security training center at the UE Debe campus. Mr. Speaker, we are transforming government through digitization and AI. Long lines and paper delays will soon be history. Our national digital assistant, Anansi, it now delivers instant guidance on public services 24/7. Every citizen will soon receive a secure digital ID for simple login access to government portals, allowing taxes, licenses, and business registrations to be completed online and in minutes. That is performance. Electronic health records will unify patient data across facilities. Education platforms will introduce smart classrooms, e-textbooks, and AI tutors. And police will have real-time access to records through innovative policing systems. A national plan, Mr. Speaker. A national AI research and innovation hub will train youth in data science, software engineering, and content creation, enabling citizens to earn from the digital and creative economies, Mr. Speaker. Real jobs for real people. Perhaps the single most transformative initiative of this administration is the National Payment and Innovation Company of Trinidad and Tobago. For decades, citizens have had to walk from ministry to ministry, stand in lines, and pay cash to conduct routine government business. Billions in transactions were fragmented across hundreds of accounts, prone to delay, error, and leakage. That inefficient era is coming to an end. The National Payment and Innovation Company introduces a unified platform that will handle all government collections and disbursements, from licensing fees and taxes to social grants and pension payment. Every ministry, every agency, and every statutory body will connect to this single payment backbone. Mr. Speaker, this is not just a technology upgrade. It is a revolution in public financial management. With this system, every cent collected or paid by the state can be tracked in real time. This means faster reconciliation, stronger oversight, and the near elimination of fraud, pilferage, and bureaucratic delay. Citizens will have multiple ways to pay: online, on their phones, at self-service kiosks, or over-the-counter terminals, using debit cards, credit cards, vouchers, or digital wallets. Every transaction will be instant, secure, and recorded. It will no longer matter whether a citizen lives in Moruga, Tancoo, or Tobago. Every service will be at their fingertips, available. This is a historic shift towards convenience, equity, and accountability. The NPIC-TT will not only save millions in administrative costs, but will also expand government revenue through better compliance and audit trails. It will make life easier for the public, strengthen confidence in government, and build a transparent bridge between the citizens and the state. It is also an enabler of our broader national agenda, linking ministries, banks, and service providers, integrating e-government services, and creating a foundation for innovation. With the NPIC-TT, the state itself becomes digital, efficient, responsive, and people-centered. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to Tobago. In pursuit of the Tobago House of Assembly's vision to make Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, in pursuit of the THA's vision to make Tobago the greatest little island on the planet Earth, the THA developed and implemented a strategic development planning pathway for 2025 to 2045. This new development architecture will guide Tobago's socio-economic and political transformation, informing the island's development plans and projects. The institutional strategy, known as strategic selectivity, will direct social and economic development, program, and capital investments, ensuring that efforts are both targeted and effective. The fiscal 2026 budget statement presented by the THA identifies the goal of placing Tobago on a fast track to socio-economic prosperity while securing the island's financial stability. The Targeted Economic Growth Program for fiscal 26 is specifically designed to foster sustainable job creation, boost GDP, enhance public infrastructure, improve public service delivery, and increase living standards. To achieve these goals, the THA has proposed targeted capital investments in the following critical areas. In tourism and the creative sector, Tobago's tourism remains a vital cornerstone of the economy. There is immense potential in the pristine natural environment, rich cultural heritage, and vibrant festivals. THA intends to invest in product development, destination branding, and promoting high-end accommodation. It also aims to support a sustainable community-based approach, promoting the unique cultural heritage through digital content, heritage stores, and training programs. These strategic investments will not only create direct jobs, but will also stimulate growth across related sectors such as transportation and agriculture, ultimately revitalizing the entire economy. In agriculture, Tobago is committed to building productive, safe, and sustainable food systems. The THA strategy includes a mega farming program to encourage innovation and attract agri-entrepreneurs, strengthening the food security and positioning agriculture as a viable career path. To further support farmers, the THA is investing in local seed banks to preserve indigenous crops, developing efficient irrigation systems, and providing extensive training on modern agriculture techniques. In infrastructure, the THA has committed itself to significantly upgrading its public infrastructure. This includes enhancing road networks, public utilities, public housing, and coastal protection systems. Upgrades are also projected to include enhancing airlift connectivity between both Trinidad and international markets to accelerate socio-economic growth, create employment opportunities, and enhance the island's overall prosperity. In terms of digital technologies, Mr. Speaker, the THA plans to integrate digital technology into its business operations, governance, and daily life. This investment will not only enhance productivity through automation and AI, but also break down geographic barriers, unlock new avenues for innovation, and improve resource allocation. To accelerate Tobago's growth, a two-pronged strategy that includes both immediate and long-term investments to create a skilled and adaptable workforce, ensuring that Tobago's population is well equipped to meet the challenges and opportunities of a dynamic future. Tobago's education reform program will encompass all levels, from preschool to tertiary, placing a strong emphasis on support for students with special needs. In terms of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises sector, Mr. Speaker, over 90% of the island's businesses fall into this category. MSMEs are crucial for creating jobs and reducing reliance on the government sector for employment. Initiatives such as the Tobago Development Fund and the newly launched Loan Guarantee Program will help businesses grow, create more jobs for marginalized groups, and ultimately build a more equitable and resilient economy for all Tobagonians. Tobago continues to acquire new diagnostic technology and modernize hospitals in Scarborough and Roxborough, and ultimately increase the life expectancy of its citizens. Mr. Speaker, I am advised that the THA intends to expand the Scarborough and Roxborough hospitals to accommodate better and meet the growing needs of the population. Tobago is ensuring that the communities are safe and have appropriate green and functioning social infrastructure to meet the needs of the citizens. The adaptation to climate change will include coastal protection and restoration, sustainable water management, and the building of climate-resilient public infrastructure. Tobago is also focusing on skill development, vocational training, building an amateur to professional sports pipeline, and youth internship programs. The Sport Development Work Program aims at monetizing sport and outdoor recreation and catalyzing investment in sports infrastructure. The THA intends to leverage sport to diversify tourism, led by a new sport tourism unit and supported by key events such as the International Youth Cricket Tournament and the International Diving Meet. Under Public Utilities and Rural Development, the THA has developed a suite of initiatives, including subsidized housing, land affordability schemes, rental assistance, and home improvement grants to ensure all Tobagonians have access to safe and affordable housing solutions. Mr. Speaker, the minimum share of the national budget that should be allocated to Tobago, as prescribed by the Dispute Resolution Commission, is 4.09%. So 4.03%, sorry. Just for the record, Mr. Speaker, the minimum share of the national budget that should be allocated to Tobago, as prescribed by the Dispute Resolution Commission, is 4.03%. I recognize that this will be insufficient to achieve the objectives I have just described. I have taken note of the budget proposed by the Tobago House of Assembly and their national agenda. In that vein, I am proud and happy to announce that in this fiscal year, I have been directed by my Prime Minister to allocate $2.96 billion to the Tobago House of Assembly, which represents a full 5% of the national budget. However, that is not all. That is not all. In addition, a further $763 million will be spent by various ministries on Tobago. In total then, the allocation to Tobago for the fiscal year 2026 will be $3.72 billion, which equates to 6.3% of the national budget. Mr. Speaker, when UNC wins, Tobago wins. Mr. Speaker, I turn now to the 2025 fiscal performance. Almost immediately upon assuming office in April, it became evident that we had inherited a seriously distressed financial situation, marked by collapsing revenues, unsustainable expenditure, rising debts, and mounting arrears. Amongst these obligations was a substantial bill for salary adjustments and arrears for officers under the SRC report. Faced with this reality, we had no choice but to seek to settle outstanding obligations left unattended by the previous administration. Thus, we were forced to appropriate an additional $3.1 billion in the mid-year review of the fiscal 2025 budget. The preliminary outturn for fiscal 2025 is for a deficit of $8.7 billion, with a revenue of $50.6 billion and an expenditure of $59.3 billion. This is their deficit. This is the deficit of the former administration, led, well, I'm not too sure who they are led by even now, Mr. Speaker. This shortfall could have been even worse. It could have been far greater had we not acted swiftly and decisively to continue spending and strengthen revenue streams. In the future, Mr. Speaker, over the next 5 years and beyond, we will pursue a path of fiscal consolidation and structural reform to break us free from the cycle of low growth, anemic revenues, and high expenditure that has constrained our economy for far too long. In light of the crisis that we met on assumption of office, Mr. Speaker, we immediately set out to put policies and programs in place to mitigate the economic situation. This is clearly demonstrated in our first 150 days in office. Mr. Speaker, I have already reported on our first 150 days in office. Mr. Speaker, our country has faced the recurrent challenge of navigating fluctuations in global energy markets. Variability in oil and gas prices has consistently created uncertainty around government revenues, requiring careful and responsive policy making. We recognize the risks of over-reliance on the energy sector and are taking steps towards broader economic reform. We maintain close oversight of international energy trends to help guide our fiscal strategy. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, our oil price assumption for 2026 will be US $73.25 per barrel, compared to US $77.80 per barrel in 2025. And our natural gas assumption will be US $4.25 per MMBTU, compared to $3.59 per MMBTU in 2025. As a result of these commodity price estimates, we expect total revenue of $55.367 billion, total expenditure of $59.232 billion, with a fiscal deficit of $3.865 billion. Nothing close to the 1920 and whatever figure goes opposite have been telling the population. Mr. Speaker, the total estimated revenue of $55.37 billion comprises, you want to know where the money coming from? Pay attention. Comprises oil revenue, $11.254 billion. Non-oil revenue, $43.402 billion. Capital revenue, $0.711 billion. Mr. Speaker, you should note that the fiscal deficit at $3.865 billion is 2.17% of GDP, again within the international benchmark of 3%. We have said it a long time ago, Mr. Speaker, performance beats old talk every time. Pursuant to our public policy agenda, the central fiscal 2026 allocations are as follows. Education and training, $8.766 billion.
Standing Order 53-1. I know my colleagues opposite are in shell shock, but please, if we can rein them in, please, so we can hear the Minister of Finance.
I really don't think that this today of all days is a time I should have to intervene to allow the Minister of Finance to proceed to read his budget speech in some degree of quietude. Minister, continue, and please, members, let us all allow the Minister to continue. He's been going a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to our public policy agenda, the central fiscal 2026 allocations are as follows. We will be spending $8.766 billion on education and training. On health, we will be spending $8.214 billion. On national security, $6.366 billion. On public utilities, $3.395 billion. On infrastructure, $1.943 billion. On rural development and local government, $1.807 billion. On transport, $1.840 billion. On agriculture, Mr. Speaker, $1.13 billion. On housing, $0.662 billion. That's $662 million, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to have shared those numbers as to where we are going to spend money for the national benefit, Mr. Speaker. When the UNC wins, Mr. Speaker, everybody wins. But, Mr. Speaker, fiscal stability is the foundation of sustainable growth. And so I turn now to fiscal and other measures. I've numbered them for easier reference. Number 1, levy on assets of commercial banks and insurance companies operating in Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Speaker, commercial banks and insurance companies, due to their large size, profitability, and capitalization, have reported sustained earnings, high liquidity ratios, and strong asset growth. Conservative lending practices and favorable monetary conditions have driven these outcomes. Despite this, the average citizen continues to be subjected to unreasonably high fees and near zero returns on their savings and investments. Against this backdrop, I propose to introduce an asset levy of 0.25%. That's 0.25%, Mr. Speaker, which is to be charged against the assets of commercial banks and insurance companies operating in Trinidad and Tobago. Importantly, the asset levy will not be applied to financial institutions and insurance companies operating under the provisions of the Special Economic Zones Act. This measure will become effective January 1st, 2026, and is expected to contribute $575 million annually to revenues. The landlord business surcharge. In recent times, there has been an explosion of unregistered commercial and residential rental properties. Many of these landlords have been avoiding paying their fair share of taxes. This contributes, Mr. Speaker, to significant revenue loss and a lack of reliable data to support policy development. The introduction of this landlord business surcharge based on actual rental income. Let me repeat that, Mr. Speaker, for those who are misinforming the rest of the public. The introduction of this landlord business surcharge is based on actual rental income, will broaden the tax revenue base, promoting fairness, transparency, and accountability. This measure requires all landlords to register with the Board of Inland Revenue and pay a one-time registration fee of $2,500. This surcharge will be applied as follows. 1, 2.5% on the gross annual rental income of $20,000 or less. And 2, 3.5% of the gross annual rental income exceeding $20,000. Mr. Speaker, I want to stress that this is based on actual, real rental revenue. Actual, real rental information, Mr. Speaker. This measure takes effect from January 1, 2026, and is expected to yield a minimum of $70 million from the one-time registration fee. It bears repeating, Mr. Speaker, that this is based on actual rental income, not proposed or some nefarious ghost rental calculation, as those on the other side had proposed in their nefarious property tax, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, item 3. Item 3, electricity surcharge. Mr. Speaker, the government proposes the introduction of an electricity surcharge as a targeted fiscal measure to address the growing cost of electricity subsidies and promote efficiency in energy use. This surcharge will take the form of a fixed bill level charge of 5 cents per kilowatt. 5 cents per kilowatt for commercial customers and industrial customers. This surcharge will take the form of a fixed bill level charge of 5 cents per kilowatt for commercial customers and industrial customers. Commercial customers and industrial customers. Pay attention. Not residential customers. In case some members were closing their fridge doors and didn't hear it, this surcharge is applicable to commercial customers and industrial customers and not residential customers. You see, when we say we care, and we show it. The policy is designed to encourage energy conservation, reduce the government's subsidy burden, and generate a predictable revenue stream. It must be noted that our electricity rates will remain substantially below those of our trading partners. In addition to residential applications, essential public services such as schools, hospitals, and street lighting will be exempt. Essential public services such as schools, hospitals, and street lighting, in addition to residential, will be exempted. Churches, mosques, temples, schools, hospitals, residential communities, all exempted. All. At current consumption level, this initiative is estimated to contribute an additional $269 million to revenues. This measure takes effect on January 1st, 2026. Item 4. Mr. Speaker, the cost of administering and offering public services in Trinidad and Tobago has risen significantly across ministries, departments, and agencies. Notwithstanding, many administrative charges, including license and permit fees and processing charges, have remained unchanged in some cases for as much as 30 years. This places additional pressure on the Consolidated Fund. Updating the fee structures in line with the current cost of doing business is therefore necessary to ensure cost reflectivity, fairness, and sustainability, while also safeguarding service quality and enabling modernization. It is to be noted that 80% of the projected revenue increases are attributable to customs duties on rums and spirits, beer, and tobacco products. Tobacco products. Again, for the record, it is important to know that 80% of the projected revenue increases are attributable to customs duties on rum and spirits, beer, and tobacco products. Therefore, the amended duties are proposed. The following amended duties are proposed. Rum and spirits, by percent of alcohol, the existing is $79.25 by percent of alcohol. That is existing. The new proposed is $158.50. Beer by gravity of beer, existing duties, $5.14. Proposed $10.28. Cigarettes per pack of 20, existing $5.26. Proposed $10.52. Included in the list of fees to be amended are container processing fees, which were moved from $525 to $1,050. Customs declaration transaction user fee from $40 to $80. Environmental tire tax from $20 to $40. Wild animals and birds from $100 to $200. Mr. Speaker, these measures will contribute an additional $1 billion to revenue. The increase in customs duties on rum, spirits, beer, and cigarettes will take immediate effect. The increases in other fees, charges, and licenses will take effect from January 1st, 2026. 5. Custom duties on luxury electric cars. Mr. Speaker, the concession for electric vehicles has been abused. Data reveals that significant foreign exchange has been used to import high-end electric vehicles which attract no customs duty, no motor vehicle tax, and no value-added tax. We recognize the importance of electric vehicles in reducing carbon emissions and propose adjusting the applicable taxation regime to provide relief levels for mid to lower price vehicles. Accordingly, I propose the following on vehicles whose CIF values exceeds $400,000, Mr. Speaker. A rate of duty of 10%, VAT of 12.5%, and a tiered rate of motor vehicle tax applicable to the electric motor size will be applied on vehicles whose CIF value exceeds $400,000. At the current demand, this initiative will contribute an additional $40 million to revenues. This measure takes effect on January 1st, 2026. Mr. Speaker, 6. Taxation on single-use plastics. This government is committed to protecting the environment. Single-use plastics contribute heavily to clogged waterways, land and marine pollution, and overburdened waste management systems, ultimately harming public health, biodiversity, and the economy. I propose to introduce a 5% tax on the CIF value of these products at the point of importation. The proceeds will be earmarked to support national recycling programs, waste management initiatives, and the public environmental education. Mr. Speaker, the proceeds of this tax is earmarked to support national recycling programs, waste management initiatives, and public environmental education. This measure will take effect from January 1st, 2026. 7. The establishment of a real estate investment fund, a REIT. Mr. Speaker, in fiscal 2026, we will establish a state-sponsored real estate investment trust, a landmark initiative to democratize state-owned assets, strengthen and diversify our capital market, and broaden public participation in national wealth creation. This is another bold step to unlock new avenues of non-debt financing. Through this vehicle, high-value income-generating properties such as land, office buildings, and commercial infrastructure will be transferred into a professionally managed REIT. Shares will be listed on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, allowing both ordinary and institutional investors to earn regular dividends from the real estate. At the same time, the state retains a strategic stake in these assets. A high-level technical committee will be appointed to guide this process for greater transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, this position puts Trinidad and Tobago as a regional pioneer in innovative financing and empowers our citizens to share directly in the prosperity of our nation. Given the healthy domestic investor appetite, this measure is expected to contribute significantly to the government's revenue stream. 8. NIF bonds. Mr. Speaker, in fiscal 2026, the National Investment Fund Holding Company Limited will launch a $1 billion NIF bond. This is yet another opportunity provided by this government to afford ordinary citizens, small businesses, and institutions the opportunity to invest and build personal wealth in a safe, tax-free environment without increasing public debt. This bond will be backed by a 21% of the shareholding of the First Citizens Group Financial Holdings Limited, valued at approximately $2 billion, while the government retains indirect and beneficial ownership of the majority of FCGFHs at 60.11%. This bond will be issued in the second quarter of fiscal 2026. 9. Penalties on offences. To ensure stricter adherence to the law, we propose a more rigorous consequences for non-compliance. Consequently, the following is proposed. We propose to move the environmental tire tax from $3,000 to $5,000. An application for registration of a pesticide for $2,000 to $4,000. For brewers, $4,000 to $10,000. Driving while disqualified from holding or obtaining a driver's permit, no fee. As exists now, no fee. We propose a $5,000 fee. Careless driving, as exists now, no fee. We propose a $15,000 fine. Driving or being in charge of a vehicle while blood alcohol exceeds prescribed limit, no fee. We propose a $15,000 fee. Mr. Speaker, this will ensure safety and accountability on our nation's roadways, Mr. Speaker. These increases in penalties will contribute an additional $180 million to revenues. These amendments will take effect from January 1st, 2026. 10. Removal of motor vehicle tax concessions for returning nationals. Mr. Speaker, in January 2023, the Financial Intelligence Unit issued to the Ministry of Finance its strategic analysis report on the abuse of the duty relief concession granted for personal vehicles imported by returning nationals in accordance with Section 17(1)(b) of the Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago Act, Chapter 7201, and Regulation 26(1)(d)(2) of the Financial Intelligence Unit of Trinidad and Tobago. The report also cites statistics showing fraud and abuse of duty relief detected by persons claiming returning nationals exemptions October 26 to 2018. Yeah. The report also cites statistics showing fraud and abuse of duty relief detected by persons claiming returning national exemptions between October 2016 and September 2018. Mr. Speaker, despite knowing about this abuse, the then Minister of Finance sat on his hands, allowing this abuse and loss of revenue to continue. This Minister of Finance is committed to protecting the public purse and preventing tax avoidance, fraud, and abuse of concessions. To this end, I propose that the customs duty relief and related tax concessions of value-added tax and motor vehicle tax on motor vehicles imported by returning nationals be removed. This measure will take effect from January 1st, 2026. Mr. Speaker, the subsidy for LPG has been in place since 1926. The most recent adjustment to the retail price was made in 1998, over 25 years ago. While we must adjust the subsidies to reflect market forces, as a caring government, we must also protect those least able to afford a significant price increase. As such, I propose to amend the subsidy on LPG cylinders of £100 and above by 50 cents per pound. I wish to reiterate that the price of cylinders below £100, including the standard £20 cylinders, which we are all familiar with, will continue to be subsidized at the same rate and will not change. These amendments will take place on January 1st, 2026, Mr. Speaker, when UNC wins ordinary households. Mr. Speaker, 12. Safeguarding our national insurance system. The national insurance system safeguards the dignity of retirees and provides income security for workers and their families. Today, annual benefit expenditure is well over $6 billion, an increase of more than 65% over the last 2 decades. After the last decade of neglect, this system is in absolute crisis today. To do nothing will be irresponsible. Since 2020, benefit payouts have consistently exceeded contributions, forcing the NIB to liquidate its assets to meet its obligations. The 11th actual review projects that if nothing is done, the fund will be depleted by 2023 or 2020. Sorry, the fund will be depleted by 2033 to 2034. Mr. Speaker, for nearly a decade, the PNM sat idly by, knowing this fact, and did nothing, while warning bells sounded, kicking the proverbial can down the road. But you see, Mr. Speaker, we are not as reckless as they are. We will not allow this fund to collapse, jeopardizing the very benefits that over 200,000 of our most vulnerable citizens depend on. Let me be clear. This government will act decisively where the PNM refused to act. To save this critical institution from bankruptcy and to preserve the benefits for future generations, we must increase the contribution rate. To minimize the burdens on contributors, I propose a phased approach, implementing a 3% increase in the contribution rate effective January 5th, 2026, followed by another 3% increase from January 4th, 2027. Mr. Speaker, those opposite, the PNM, would have left this fund as it is to collapse, denying generations, present and future, from access to pension benefits. Let me explain, Mr. Speaker, if I may. Pension benefits, maternity benefits, accident benefits, all of these personal benefits to those least able to afford them, Mr. Speaker. All of those, the vulnerable population, would have been denied had that government continued in office. They would have done nothing. This government is saving the future of this country, Mr. Speaker. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, beginning in January 2028, the age at which a person can receive a full NIS retirement pension will gradually increase over a 10-year period. There will be no change for anyone who retires at age 60 before January 1st, 2028. Those retirees will continue to qualify for a full NIS pension with a minimum of $3,000 at age 60. There will be no change for anyone who retires at age 60 before January 1st, 2028. Furthermore, existing pensioners will not be affected by this change. If it were left to those opposite, this fund would have collapsed and existing pensioners will have no access to pensions, Mr. Speaker. Starting in January 2028, the age for a full NIS pension will increase by 1 year every 2 years until it reaches age 65 at 2036. That means to access the full minimum pension of $3,000 from January 1st, 2028 to December 31st, 2029, a retiree must be 61 years of age. From January 1st, 2030 to December 31st, 2031, a retiree must be 62 years of age. From January 1st, 2032 to December 31, 2033, a retiree must be 63 years of age. From January 1st, 2034 to December 31st, 2035, a retiree must be 64 years of age. Yeah. From January 1st, 2036 onward, a retiree must be 65 years of age. For clarification, these amendments mean that the retirement age for a full NIS pension will move from 60 to 65 over the next decade. Persons who retire early will still receive a pension, but at a reduced rate. Mr. Speaker, these reforms are not easy, but they are not urgent. Yeah. These reforms are not easy, but they are now urgently required to give the years of inaction that was allowed these challenges to deepen under the last administration. These measures are projected to extend the life of the NIS fund, securing pension for today's workers and tomorrow's retirees. Let it be said, Mr. Speaker, that under this government, the NIS will not be allowed to fall. We will protect the rights and contributions of citizens who have contributed for all of their lives. We will protect the rights of them to access benefits when they retire, Mr. Speaker. I want to reiterate that there's no mandatory retirement. There's no mandatory retirement over the next decade. This system remains applicable and available for those who are volunteering. Mr. Speaker, the UNC continues to protect the interests of pensioners in this country, Mr. Speaker, because when UNC wins, workers and pensioners win. Mr. Speaker, innovation is a key driver of transformation, competitiveness, and resilience. The Research and Development Impact Fund at the University of the West Indies is a critical mechanism for advancing applied research, fostering partnerships, and generating solutions to national challenges. The fund has supported more than 47 projects, cultivated over 270 partnerships, attracted $124 million in external resources, and delivered new products and services that are already in use across the region. In keeping with the government's diversification agenda, an allocation of $10 million will be provided to the UE RDI Fund in fiscal 2026. This will encourage more of our researchers and innovators to focus on areas critical to national development, such as climate resilience, citizen security, sustainable agriculture, and health innovation. Mr. Speaker, the National Innovation and Incubator Program will strengthen the innovation ecosystem and entrepreneurship in Trinidad and Tobago. This program will provide 100 young graduates and aspiring entrepreneurs with the mentorship, financing, and structured support required to transform ideas into viable businesses and expand the base of small and micro enterprises towards economic diversification. That's quite a mouthful, Mr. Speaker. So let me say it again. This program will provide 100 young graduates per year and aspiring entrepreneurs with mentorship, financing, and structured support required to transform ideas into viable businesses and expand the base of small and micro enterprises towards economic diversification. In fiscal 2026, the government, through an allocation of $15.75 million, will partner with the Unit Trust Corporation and UE Ventures Limited. This underscores the government's determination to create an enabling environment where new entrepreneurs, young graduates, can emerge and participate in a modern, diversified economy. This program will commence in January 2026. Period poverty. This is a period poverty intervention, Mr. Speaker. Period poverty continues to undermine the health and educational opportunities for many women and girls in Trinidad and Tobago. Women and girls impacted by period poverty struggle to afford menstrual hygiene products. To this end, I propose the following strategic interventions to address the socio-economic issue. The Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of People, Social Development and Family Services will collaborate to establish a Women's Health Fund. This government will provide an initial seed capital of $5 million. We will also partner with other stakeholders to ensure the sustainability of this fund. This fund will be used to launch a pilot program to provide distribution of free menstrual kits in educational institutions. It will also be used to provide education and sensitization on menstrual health for various groups, including men and boys, to foster inclusivity and dismantle stigma. A tax incentive, Mr. Speaker, will be provided to encourage individuals and corporations to contribute to this fund. This initiative will commence in January 2026. Mr. Speaker, when UNC wins, women and girls win. This government will introduce the Elevate program to upskill 15,000 educators, helping them incorporate and modernize their teaching methodologies using 21st century technologies. The government will allocate $5.72 million to this program, which will deliver relevant, flexible, and modern professional development aligned to national priorities and the 2025 to 2030 education policy. This program will commence in January 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, teachers win. 18. The Next Class program aims to create an AI-powered user interface platform that empowers teachers with the resources to enhance their teaching effectiveness and foster a more personalized learning environment. Every teacher will gain access to a single platform hosted by the Ministry of Education, featuring lesson planning, real-time student tracking, automated grading support, and professional development tools. This government will invest $4.64 million into this program. This program will commence in January 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, students win. The Pearl Project, promoting early assessment for resilient learners. Access early, educate fully. Mr. Speaker, the Promoting Early Assessment for Resilient Learners initiative will touch the lives of thousands of children and their families by ensuring that challenges in vision, hearing, growth, and development are detected and addressed before they become barriers to learning. The program will embed universal screening in our schools, ensuring that difficulties are identified and addressed early before they limit a child's potential. Through the alignment of the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of the People, Social Development and Family Services, Pearl will guarantee parents and students a seamless medium of care and attention. This government will allocate $7.89 million to this program, which will commence in January 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, children with learning disabilities win. Tax concession for corporate and individual contributions to registered animal shelters. Mr. Speaker, this government recognizes the critical role that registered animals shelters play in controlling stray populations, promoted spaying and neutering, and advancing public health and environmental sanitation. To support their work, I propose to amend the Corporation Tax Act, Chapter 7502, to allow companies that make financial contributions to registered animal shelters approved by the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, to claim such contributions as a deduction in computing their chargeable profits. The deduction will be capped at a low of 15% of chargeable profits of $100,000 per year of income. Mr. Speaker, I propose to amend the Income Tax Act, Chapter 7501, to provide a standalone deduction for individuals who support registered animal shelters. To qualify, the shelter must be registered under the Non-Profit Organizations Act 2019 or the Companies Act, Chapter 8101, and approved by the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries. This deduction will be capped at the lower of 20% of the individual's total income, or $20,000 per year. These amendments will take effect from January 1, 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, animal lovers win. 21, agricultural incentives. Mr. Speaker, despite their promise to make the agricultural sector tax-free, the PNM failed to fulfill this commitment. This has characterized the PNM's neglect of our farmers, which has compromised our food security over the last decade. Our focus is to make food more affordable to every citizen by supporting increased and sustainable agricultural production. To this end, I propose to remove VAT from all machinery and equipment intended explicitly for agricultural use. To remove VAT from all components used explicitly in hydroponic farming and greenhouse farming, if not already specified elsewhere. The review of paragraph 5 of Schedule 2 of the VAT Act to provide a comprehensive classification for zero-rated preparations and chemicals to ensure that farmers have access to a full range of cost-effective inputs for cultivation and animal health. And for the removal of customs duty from feed used for poultry, cattle, and pigs. These amendments will take effect from January 1st, 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, farmers win. Yeah. In the last Prasad-Bissessar-led administration, Mr. Speaker, we removed VAT from Let me say that again. I wish we had removed that from 70,000, but they were not 70,000. They were 7,000. In the last Prasad-Bissessar-led administration, Mr. Speaker, we removed VAT from 7,000 food items. A bold step back then. As soon as the PNM assumed office, they introduced VAT on these basic food items. And this had the immediate effect of directly raising the prices of food for every citizen, Mr. Speaker. Public pressure eventually forced them to remove VAT on some of these items. Today, I am proud to say that this Kamla Prasad Bisesa-led administration will again be removing value-added tax from a multiplicity of basic food items. These items include table salt, Morbi, coconut water, as well as locally produced pumpkin, watermelon, cucumber, lettuce, and tomatoes, amongst others. This is a government that cares about the average citizen, Mr. Speaker. You see, when the UNC wins, everybody wins. This measure will take effect from October 17, 2025. Item 23. Amendments to the policy on importation of foreign use vehicles, Mr. Speaker. A previous UNC administration had democratized access to vehicle ownership by introducing foreign use vehicles to the market, making vehicles accessible and available to every citizen. We have since noticed the increase in the cost of new and foreign use vehicles as a direct result of the restrictive policies of the PNM. Today, I am pleased to announce that in keeping with our 2025 general election commitment to make vehicle ownership available and affordable again, I propose the following. Firstly, an increase in the permissible age of importation of private cars, that is SUVs, sedans, and station wagons, which are powered by gasoline, diesel, or CNG, from 3 years and under to 6 years and under from the date of contract. Secondly, an increase in the permissible age of importation of light commercial vehicles, that is pickups and panel vans, from 7 years and under to 10 years and under from the date of contract. This measure will take effect from January 1st, 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, every citizen wins. Removal of tax on private pensions. In keeping with the government's promise during the 2025 election campaign, I propose that private pensions be now exempted from income tax. This amendment will take effect from January 1st, 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, retirees win. Thank you, yes. Item 25, reducing the cost of construction materials. Mr. Speaker, over the last decade, the cost of construction materials has skyrocketed, making ownership an unfulfilled dream to many, particularly our young people. Conscious of this, and to further stimulate the economy, particularly in the area of construction, I propose that the negative list under the Trade Ordinance be amended to remove item number I4. Clays, crushed limestone, boulders, sand, gravel, plastering sand, porcelainite, agalite, oil sand. This will provide a much-needed impetus to the construction sector and is expected to reduce the cost of building materials and the cost of construction generally. This will boost employment in plumbing, electricals, tiling, masonry, carpentry, and fabrication industries, amongst others. Real jobs for real people, Mr. Speaker. These amendments will take effect on January 1st, 2026. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, homeowners win. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, tradesmen win. Mr. Speaker, the last measure, which bears repeating. Item 26. On behalf of this UNC government, I wish to announce that in our bid to build economic fairness, the Honourable Kamla Prasad Bisesa has instructed that effective immediately, the price of super gasoline at the gas station pump be reduced by $1 per litre. on an average tank of 50 liters, you will save $50 every time you go to the gas station to fill up. $50, Mr. Speaker. When the UNC wins, the traveling public wins. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2026 is a declaration that Trinidad and Tobago is back on course. In the words of Khalil Gibran, true progress is not in enhancing what is, but in advancing what should be. This budget is more than an accounting of revenues and expenditures, plans and policies. It represents a shift towards fairness. For far too long, the government's fiscal policy has been seen as a technical exercise. Today, we redefine it as a human one. Every dollar we spend, every measure we take must be guided by a single principle: putting the people of Trinidad and Tobago first. In this fiscal year, we are taking deliberate steps to realign national priorities, to put our great nation first, and to build economic fairness through accountable fiscal policies. This is the beginning of a new era built on trust, fairness, and people-centered governance, where growth is measured not only by GDP, but by the strength of our communities and the hope we inspire in every home across this nation. This budget, Mr. Speaker, is at its core a statement of the UNC's values. It reflects our belief that economic policy must begin and end with people, real men and women struggling each day to build better lives for themselves and their families. Our task, therefore, is not just to balance the nation's finances. Our task is not just to balance the nation's finances, but to restore balance to our society, to ensure that opportunity reaches every community, from Cedros to Charlottesville, from Moruga to Carinage, where equal access to the national patrimony is available to every single citizen. The days of promises without performance is over. This UNC government delivers. And as we close this sorry chapter of the last decade and look forward to the future, we cannot paper over, as was done before, the harsh realities that we face. Yes, the road ahead is long, and growth will be tempered in the short term by a decline in the energy sector, a legacy left by a decade of neglect and irresponsible government by those on that side. However, this nation would have noted that this government, under the visionary leadership of Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, refuses to be paralyzed by the legacies of the past and the postmortems of those who rush first to bleat. We have chosen to listen to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We have chosen a fiscal approach that will not only restore stability, but will lay a foundation for lasting prosperity, ensuring that our nation's future is one of opportunity for every citizen, no matter their background. To every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, this is not just the governor's journey. This is yours as well. Our shared future depends on unity, patience, and collective effort. Let us move together with courage, with hope, and with the firm conviction that we will rebuild a stronger, fairer, and more prosperous Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Speaker, as this this budget demonstrates. When the UNC wins, homeowners. When the UNC wins, tradesmen win. When the UNC wins, retirees win. When the UNC wins, children win. When the UNC wins, workers and pensioners win. When the UNC wins, farmers win. When the UNC wins, business win. When the UNC wins, manufacturers win. When the UNC wins, public servants win. When the UNC wins, former county workers win. When the UNC wins, women and girls win. When the UNC wins, motorists win. When the UNC wins, children with learning disabilities win. When the UNC wins, animal lovers win. When the UNC wins, young people win. When the UNC wins, the vulnerable win. Mr. Speaker, when the UNC wins, everybody wins. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move. Mr. Speaker. Yes. In accordance with Standing Order 81-4, I wish to advise that debate on the budget will resume on Friday 17th of October 2025 at 10 a.m.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the government bench and the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I'm certain I want to thank the Honourable Minister of Finance and the Honourable Prime Minister for a phenomenal budget presentation. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House do now adjourn to Friday, October 17, 2025 at 10 a.m.
Honourable members, before putting the question on the adjournment, I am to advise that your budget packages are available for collection at the Northern Colonnade Corridor distribution room next to the members' entrance on the Abercrombie Street side of the Red House. Honourable members, the question is that this House do now adjourn to Friday, October 17, 2025 at 10 a.m. All in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. This House now stands adjourned to Friday, October 17, 2025 at 10 a.m.